Next up in my NHL series preview and predictions for the playoffs, we have the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Tampa Bay Lightning. This is the second one I will be uploading today, and then I'm going to upload 2 tomorrow, and then I will do the final one on Wednesday, obviously the day of the playoffs, but before any of the games start. And then also on Wednesday, I'm going to post my full bracket predictions where I go in depth on the whole thing and give you guys my prediction on who I think is going to win the Stanley Cup. So with that being said, we have the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Columbus Blue Jackets, a series where a lot of people probably think they already know the outcome, but anything can happen in the NHL playoffs. But obviously right now the heavy favorite is the Tampa Bay Lightning. But let's get right into it. Now, taking a look at the regular season that each of these teams had, and just by looking at this you can tell there is a heavy favorite. 62-16-4, 128 points, first in the Atlantic Division. That is pretty ridiculous. We haven't seen a team like this since the Detroit Red Wings had this record for 62 wins, and Tampa Bay, the best regular season team in NHL history, well, he's tied for the best, and I really think it's going to be tough for any team to even come close to beating them in the playoffs. The way I think of it is it's hard enough to beat this team once, but beating them 4 out of 7 games, that is going to be a very tough task. They were led in goals this season by Steven Stamkos with 45. He's still a superstar in the NHL despite what a lot of people think. You know, people call him a playoff choke artist and stuff like that, but he still is a fantastic player. Nikita Kucherov led the way with 87 assists. That is absolutely insane. Some players in the NHL didn't even get 87 points this season. A lot of players didn't, and Kucherov had 87 assists. That is absolutely crazy, and he led the way in points with 128 points, the most since Mario Lemieux back in the 1990s. Not even Crosby, McDavid, or Ovechkin and those guys even came close to really 128 points. So that is just very impressive. And now looking at the Columbus Blue Jackets, much less impressive obviously than the Tampa Bay Lightning. 47-31-4, 98 points, obviously finished in that second wildcard spot to make the postseason. Led in goals by Cam Atkinson with 41 goals. He really did have an amazing year. He's one of the league's most underrated goal scorers. Artemi Panarin led the way with 59 assists, and Artemi Panarin led the way with a total of 87 points. He's their guy. They're going to need a lot from him in this playoffs, and they're also going to need a lot from the guys that they acquired at the trade deadline. And I just think a lot of pieces are going to have to come together if the Columbus Blue Jackets really want to have any chance of knocking off Tampa Bay. Now diving into the team stats, Tampa Bay led the league in goals scored per game with 3.89, and they were 7th in goals allowed with just 2.7. They had a 28.2 power play percentage, first in the NHL, and they had a penalty kill percentage of 85%, also first in the NHL. And just looking at those numbers, it is very intimidating considering how much top end talent that they have on that power play. You look at guys like Kucherov, Stamkos, Yanni Gourde, Tyler Johnson, Andre Palat, and then that's not even mentioning Braden Point, who is a 40 goal scorer, a 90 point scorer, and he's a guy who kind of gets overlooked on this team, which is pretty ridiculous because he would be the best player on probably half the teams in the NHL, and he's just kind of an afterthought when you're trying to game plan to play against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And that's not even mentioning guys like JT Miller, Anthony Cirelli, Matthew Joseph, who have been fantastic rookies. This is just a very well-rounded team with a great defense core and a Vezina caliber goaltender in net, and I really can't see any team beating them 4 out of 7 games, and if they do, that would be very impressive. Obviously Tampa Bay right now is a lot of people's pick to win the Stanley Cup, and considering how stacked they are and how well they have been playing this season, it is very hard to bet against them. And now you look at the Columbus Blue Jackets, they score 3.12 goals per game, which was 12th in the NHL, which is pretty good, and they only allowed 2.82 goals against per game, 11th in the NHL, which is also pretty good. But you look at that power play percentage of just 15.4, 28th in the league, but they do have a very strong penalty kill percentage of 85, but even the second best penalty killing percentage in the league is going to have some trouble shutting down Tampa Bay's power play. So a lot of moving pieces are going to have to come together if Columbus does really want to do any damage against the Tampa Bay Lightning. I could see them winning maybe a game on home ice, but man, this series just really looks one-sided. But you do have to remember that Columbus got a lot of their really good players at the trade deadline, and you know, when you get players like that, they're not just going to come in and mesh well together right away. It's going to take a little bit of time to develop chemistry, and hopefully for their sake in this playoff series, they can really get some chemistry going and try to do some damage against this powerhouse team. And now finally, looking at my prediction, I have the Tampa Bay Lightning winning this series in 4 games. And I know that is a boring prediction, but I'm trying to be as realistic as possible, and I really just can't see the Columbus Blue Jackets doing any damage against Tampa Bay. I was going to go 5 games, kind of a gentleman's sweep. I definitely think Columbus has the potential to steal a game or two, but honestly, for right now, if I'm being as realistic as possible, I'm going with the Tampa Bay Lightning to close this series out in 4 games. So that is going to do it for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy, and make sure to let me know down in the comment section your thoughts on this series. Like I said earlier, I know it was a boring prediction, but I'm just being as realistic as possible with these. And like I said, make sure to let me know your thoughts down in the comment section, who's going to win this series and in how many games. And with that being said, I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel for daily NHL content, and I will see you guys all in the next video.